Welcome to the Tattoo Marketing Podcast. My name is Jesse. I'm the owner of Inklink. We're a marketing company that works exclusively with tattoo shops, doing a lot with Google ads, Facebook and Instagram ads, getting consultations booked for these shops with their ideal clients. Currently, I work with a little over 140 shops here in the US. Why I want to talk about this is it's something that affects anybody running meta ads, kind of like iOS 14 did back in 2020. And if you don't know what that is, I will go over it in a little bit. But this has already taken effect in the EU. And it is essentially, they've called it pay or okay. And yeah, this is affecting the EU, the EEA, which is Iceland and Norway, also in Switzerland. After listening to this, it doesn't mean you shouldn't run meta ads. We don't know when or even if it's coming to the US. There's a high chance that in the future, and when I say the future, it could be 6 months, it could be 3-4 years, but some form of this does end up over here. The EU does have stricter laws when it comes to your data, stuff like that. So it started there, but it's been talked about over here several times here in the US. Really, it could be implemented all over the world at some point. So one of the warnings when we get into this, and the reason of this, is to not put all your eggs into one basket. I know plenty of shops that the way they're scaling their shops at this moment, especially with how the industry's been the last couple of years, there's so many new shops. Word of mouth just doesn't do what it used to. And in a lot of places, putting out flyers and stuff is illegal. Meta ads and Google ads have really become an easy way to scale a shop. You essentially are paying for new clients. And if you're doing a good job, they're coming back. They're bringing more clients, and it's a snowball effect. So paid ads can do a lot for any business, any shop when they're done correctly. So Meta is making changes. They are, if you've noticed your ads not working quite as well the last couple months, you're seeing the effects of one of them. Getting ads to work correctly has become more difficult, and the market has become more saturated, which doesn't help because there's more people running ads. First thing I kind of want to go over is iOS 14. And if you haven't heard of that, it's an update that was put out in 2020, and it started with this whole pissing match between Meta and Apple. And essentially, what came out of that is Apple said, hey, there's two things they did. One is we're not going to allow you to track data on our phones. So iPhones cannot track data if you send somebody off of Facebook or Instagram. For example, if you're running an ad and sending them to your website or a landing page, Meta natively cannot track it. Now, there's ways around that. We use a thing called Zapier that automatically and manually sends the information back instead of relying on the pixel. So there are ways around it now, but it took a little while. So what it essentially did, and the second thing that they did was if you ever boost a post on your iPhone, you will see that you're hit with a 30% tax. Insane. It's only on iPhones. You can do it from a MacBook. You can do it from a computer. You can do it from a tablet. You can boost posts from an Android, and you won't get hit with that 30% tax. So if you are boosting posts, you see that giant tax, switch it to something else, just where you boost the post. That is it. Just don't do it on an iPhone. You'll get rid of 30% of the taxes. So what EU level privacy is currently doing in the EU, Germany, all those places I mentioned, and why we know this is because we have clients over there, so we've had to deal with it and figure out our workarounds, is the new pay or okay model, which is essentially you can pay Meta a monthly subscription and you don't see any ads. They've completely gotten rid of them. You also don't give consent for any kind of them collecting any kind of data. And they're charging $8 a month for this, which sounds great. I know all of us don't love ads, even though they work well. Meta has a little bit overdone it. I believe if you look now, 1 out of every 4 posts you see is an ad, which is an astronomical amount. They've really done it, but I'll get into later why they've done that. It has to do with money, shockingly. So like I said, this is $8 a month, and you don't see ads. You cannot collect data, so it's made marketing over there even harder. Like I said, we have clients over there. We found workarounds for it, but the average person that doesn't do this for a living is just going to see there's all these new shops. There's all these new people paying for ads. Less and less people are seeing these ads at all. And so it's making the rest of the people that haven't paid for the adless model, like, it's so much more expensive. It's so much more competitive to get them to sign up for a consultation or fill out a form or something like that, because the market of who you're going to has become so much smaller, and there's so many more shops bidding for that person's attention. Now, this is likely to change over the coming years, probably not in a good way if you advertise on Meta. And I should say, Inklink, we advertise a ton on Meta, a ton on Google. So this will affect us also, along with clients we work with. But there's also been a lot of issues between Meta and the EU regarding the pay or okay. The EU does not like that people have to pay to not see the ads. So they are trying to figure out something else. In the near future, what we could be either saying is an ad free option or a free option. So no subscription with less ads. So they're just showing less of them, which again, will same issue. It'll be more competitive. Bringing down the cost from €8 to something cheaper, making it more affordable so more people do it. Or the EU putting new laws in practice to prevent Meta from collecting data at all, which would essentially kill ads with where ads are right now. And again, Meta is doing stuff to combat this. They are the size they are for a reason, and they're not going to go down without a fight. So why does this affect you? Meta is already testing subscription plans in small parts of the US. Whether they're going to keep rolling that out, decide it's not a good idea, we'll see. Obviously, it's going to be whatever makes Meta the most money in the long run. Hey, real quick, everybody, if you are enjoying this, you want to hear more of these, if you could do us a huge favor in whatever platform you are listening to us on, if you could go ahead and, again, if you're enjoying it, leave us a review. Let us know what you like about it. It is absolutely huge to us to get that kind of feedback and let us know the kind of content you want to hear. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the episode. The size they are for a reason, and they're not going to go down without a fight. So why does this affect you? Meta is already testing subscription plans in small parts of the US. Whether they're going to keep rolling that out, decide it's not a good idea, we'll see. Obviously, it's going to be whatever makes Meta the most money in the long run. In time, while not as strict as the EU, it does look like Meta will have some kind of subscription option for its users, just as a base for every single person. This would skyrocket the cost of getting good results for ads. This would really, really hurt advertisers on Meta. And again, there's plenty of big companies, who cares? There's also the little guys, the tattoo shops, stuff like that have a $500 a month budget. You know, if your results are cut in half, all of a sudden that's gonna make it, is it even worth running these ads anymore? And only time will tell. So why this is concerning, but it's not the end of ads, 100%. At least for now. Meta is going to, like I said, fight this as much as they can. Meta makes between 98 and 99% of its revenue from ads, which is mind-blowing. In 2025, they made $165 billion. $160 billion of that came from ads. So ads is their bread and butter. So they are extremely concerned about this as well. Meta would need 46% of its users worldwide to pay the subscription fee in order for them to make the amount of money they do off ads now. Very, very low chance that would ever happen. 46% of people do not pay for YouTube Premiere to not see ads, or whatever they call it, their subscription. So there's no possible way that would happen. And if they lower it, they would need the cost of the subscription. They would need all of them, all of the users to use it. So right now, obviously not feasible. I'm assuming why they're testing this in small parts of the US to see, hey, how many people can we get to subscribe to our subscription thing, and would it be able to offset the revenue loss from the ads? So 2 things you need to know about this: what Meta is going to do about it and what you can do about it. Those are obviously the biggest lessons we want to impart here today. So what Meta is doing about it: Meta is investing heavily in using AI for targeting in its ads. So instead of needing information to be sent back, or as much data as they can collect, if that's limited, they're trying to use AI for targeting instead of you going in there and manually putting in who you're targeting. Their new Andromeda update that just came out a couple months ago, it is all about using AI targeting. If you run Meta ads, you're on Andromeda now. It was an update they put out. Everybody's on it now. Like I said, Meta's gonna do everything they can to not let what's happening in Europe happen anywhere else because of how much it will cost them. But if they can't, you're probably going to be looking at 2 to 3 times in your ad spend to get the kind of conversions you are right now, which sucks. And then it's really going to come down to not just how much you're spending, but how good your ads are. Right now, with just kind of how it is, you can have mediocre ads, but if your targeting is phenomenal, you can still get people in your shop, not a problem. If the targeting, which is where the information goes, the data they collect, how it works, if that gets diluted, then it's really going to be put about, like, you're going to see commercial level stuff on for Facebook ads. It's going to take on a much more complex and complicated route in order for ads to work on Meta. So again, let's hope this doesn't happen. So what you can do about it: first thing is to learn the new Andromeda update. Again, if you're running Meta ads, it's already in there. I don't even think they posted anything saying, like, when you log into your ad account, that anything changed. But this came out a few months ago. We've been using it. There's a few things you do need to know about it, though. With our testing, letting Andromeda use its AI to get clients, it did get a lower cost per lead. So lower cost to have somebody fill out a form for a consultation, did lower cost for somebody to send you a message than before. The issue was the quality was much lower. Less people were coming in to actually get consultations, even though the amount of leads went up, the cost per lead went down. So we tested it a little bit and I've gone back to how we were doing stuff before because that still works with our targeting. So at this point, you still do need to set up your targeting. Andromeda, the only at this point industry is really good for is e-com because that it doesn't matter how, the quality of it. They just need people to go somewhere and buy something, and Andromeda is really well optimized for that. The other thing with Andromeda is they've changed it from having 3 ads running to, if you're going to use Andromeda for every ad set, you need 7 ads running at least because it's using AI to figure out which one's going to be the best. So not only is the quality lower, but there's a lot more work that goes in. You need more than double the ads to make Andromeda work correctly, which sucks because it already takes enough time, especially if you're running a shop, tattooing, doing all that other stuff. The best thing you can do is not have all your eggs in one basket. Google is as good, Google Ads are as good as getting clients as Meta is, even better in a lot of cases, at least in expert mode. And if you haven't manually clicked into expert mode in your Google Ads account, you're still in what's called smart mode, which is essentially the equivalent to boosting a post. You lose all your good targeting options, you lose the good metrics and good reporting and stuff. It does work, just doesn't work as well, kind of like boosting posts or running an actual ad. An ad's going to kill it every single time versus or at least do a lot better than boosting the post. So recommend getting good with Google Ads, at least starting to learn it. It is more complicated, but it works. Because if you think about it, it's people going to Google looking for tattoo shops versus somebody's just scrolling on social media. Google Ads are phenomenal if you know what you're doing on them. Google has no intent to do this essentially pay per subscription model outside of YouTube, which they already have. I would like to say, like, any good business that does marketing should have a minimum of 2 streams of leads coming in. 3 to 4 is preferable. So if you have Meta, also have Google, and that prevents these things that happen. It seems to happen a lot on Meta, at least every couple of years, like iOS 14 in 2020, that it killed ads for not just tattoo shops, but any business running ads until workarounds were figured out. So for about 6 months, it was chaos. A lot of people lost a lot of money. Shops shut down that were actually relying on Meta ads. And again, that's why you shouldn't just have one. You know, like I said, word of mouth doesn't do what it used to, especially with all the new shops. So having something like Google Ads, Meta Ads running, if it's still legal in your town, handing out flyers, it seems like nobody wants to do that these days anymore, or hand out business cards, but it 100% works. These guerrilla marketing tactics of doing stuff like that still 100% work. And I don't know if it's just people have gotten lazy or what it is. If you can put out flyers, go put out flyers. It works. It's a stream. It works. Hand out business cards. As far as online marketing, there's TikTok. It doesn't have the targeting we like, but it's another option. But you should at least have 2. Especially if you are relying on ads for your shop to grow. Hopefully you're not relying on them to at least stay at the same point, but to grow, having something like, because they don't, at least with iOS 14, they don't give you any kind of real warning. They give a small warning with that, but it just switches one day and all of a sudden your ads don't work and you're losing money. So just have more than one. So anyway, I just wanted to jump on here. I was just doing a bunch of research on it and seeing what was happening. Because again, we have clients over in Germany and over in the EU, and wanted to let other people know about it since they are already testing in small sample sizes here in the US. And if you run Meta ads, I mean, this could be the end of it. Hopefully not. Because it is a really great way to get new clients that have never heard of your shop. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions or interested in getting a consultation with us to check out your marketing, you can go to message us on Instagram. It's inklink_marketing, or go to ink-link.com. Yeah, and I'll talk to you guys on the next one.